Microsoft Outlook 2010 provides us a way to move or delete emails before they even get to our inbox. By setting up rules, we can manage the influx of email by moving incoming emails to folders before cluttering up our inbox. We can also set rules to alert us when we receive an email from a specific person, like our manager. Let's see how to build and run rules. There are three parts to building a rule. One is the check condition. So we're going to set up a rule to find out, okay, is it sent from a specific person? Does the subject line contain something? Does the body contain a word? The second part is we need to select an action. Do we want to move it, delete it, mark it, categorize it? What do we want to do if it does meet that condition? And the third thing is, does it have any exceptions? So, is it sent from a specific person but it's carbon copied another person? So is there an exception to the rule? Okay, let's build a rule that checks to see if a specific person sent me and only me an email. So for example, Bill Bergen, let's see if he has sent me specifically any emails. And I'm going to build a rule to do that. So on the Home tab, in the Move group, I'm going to select Rules and create a new rule. Number one, depending on what email you have selected, it usually gives you the from subject and sent to areas of the email that's selected. Sometimes that's the email you want, sometimes not. As it happens, I did select one from Bill Bergen, so I do want it from Bill Bergen. I do not care what the subject line contains, but I do only want it when it is sent to me and only me. So what do I want to do with that? If I do find an email from Bill Bergen is sent to me, I want to move it into a folder, and right now I don't have a folder. So I'm going to go into my inbox and say a new folder, say Bill Bergen. Okay, so now I have a folder under my inbox by the name of Bill Bergen. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to say OK again. This gives me an option to run the rule. So I'm going to go ahead and run the rule, and it will take about, depending on how many you have in your inbox. Right now I have 3,619 in my inbox. So I am going to go ahead and run the rule. And for you, I will skip ahead. Now let's see what the rule did. Right now I have 3,439 in my inbox, so definitely it did something. So let's check the Bill Bergen folder. And yes, there were 180 items that were moved to this folder. Here's the key about this rule. Now, for future emails that are sent from Bill Bergen and sent to me and only me, they will immediately go into this folder to where it won't clutter my inbox, and I can see which ones are new and which ones aren't. I'm going to create a second rule. There is this no reply at msjc.edu, and the subject contains new announcements, and then a lot of other stuff, but the other stuff usually isn't the same. And I don't want to just send all of my no reply to the trash because it might be something that I do need to look at. So I'm going to create a rule for the sender to be no reply, in the subject have new announcement, and I'm going to move all of those directly to my trash can. So again, on the Home tab in the Move group, I'm going to go to Rules, create a new rule, and since again I had that email selected, I can say it's from no reply at MSJC. And since the subject line changes, I'm going to get rid of everything but where it says new announcements. And I want to move it to a specific folder, and my folder is going to be my deleted items. I do have an option of permanently deleting it versus just sending it to the trash can. I am hesitant to dispose of anything permanently without looking at it. So if I send it to the deleted items, I can at least look at it and see, yes, do I need to delete it, or no, I don't. I'm going to say OK and say OK again. And I'm going to run this rule right now. I don't need to run it. I can hold off till later, but I'm going to go ahead and run it because again, this is to organize my email and get my inbox a little bit more, less clutter with emails that I don't need. Okay, that rule is done. So I'm going to just check in my deleted items. It found 7 items and sent it to the deleted folder, and I can look to see if I need to see any of these, and I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and clean out my folder and say yes, I do want to permanently delete them. Now, occasionally we want to be alerted if someone particular sends us an email, for example, our manager. So what I can do is set up a rule that will specifically alert me when an email comes in from my boss. So what I want to do is go to Rules, create a rule, and I want to go to Advanced Options because I want it specifically from a person and I didn't select their name. So I'm going to say, well, number 1, since it automatically adds the person's email address, that whichever email I'm on, I just want to edit the rule description because it's not from G Stack that I'm concerned. She's not my boss. So I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to find my boss. There she is. So I can get rid of Ginger Stack and I can say from Joyce Johnson, and I want to say next. What is the action? Again, what do I want to do with the message? I want to play a sound perhaps, and I can find the sound just by clicking on a sound. And there are lots of them. These are all the built-in media. And of course you want to double check whichever one you want. I can also display a desktop alert. That might get my attention versus playing a noise. I say, okay, is there any exceptions to the rule? Maybe if it's low importance, then there's an exception. So perhaps if the importance is low instead of normal, I don't need it to alert me. I say, okay. And I can call whatever I want this rule, and I say finish. So now when my boss sends me an email, not only will I get a chime, I will also get an alert that pops up and it says, oh, you need to attend to this because it's from your boss. Okay. Occasionally we want our incoming email to have a category attached to it immediately. Maybe there's something in the subject line that can prompt a category or a flag or something like that. So this gives me the ability to create a rule with a specific either person or subject line, and I can assign it one of my categories to where it does that automatically. So I'm going to pick one, just a handy one. This is from a committee. I'm going to say rule, create a new rule. Subject line contains the IPRC, anything with that. I'm going to go Advanced Options, and I want to assign it to a specific category, and since I have some categories already built, I can click on Category, and since this is Committee, I can say it has to do with the committee. Say OK. Say Next. What's the action? Well, I'm assigning it a category immediately, so I don't really need to do anything else unless I want to put a flag to follow up. And right now I don't. So I say Next. There's no action I need to take, and there's no exceptions. So I'm going to run this rule on my inbox already, and it should pick up this one email. Let's test to see how many of these IPRCs have been marked. So I'm just going to filter it or sort it by categories. And I can see that it did find 2 emails with IPRC in the header or in the subject line, and it did mark it as committee meeting. I'm going to resort it by date. Now, there are times where perhaps you have your rules set to run at specific times, and an email may have slipped through without getting caught by the rules. So, how do you run your rules without creating a rule? You would go to, again, your Home tab, your Move group, Rules, Manage Rules and Alerts. And you'll see a couple of mine have errors in them. Number one, I'm not on my normal machine, therefore it's not picking up some of my folders, and that's why it does have some errors in it. But I'm just going to ignore that. So basically what I can do is select any of the rules that I want to run. And so I have a few, and I just say Run Rules Now. They will only run the rules that I have selected. So it's going to, again, now I've selected some, but it is asking me to go ahead and clear and select which ones I want to run. I'm going to Run Now. Now that's going to take its moment. It's going to go through my whole entire in bin, and if it finds anything that it needs to attach to that rule, as in a category or move to a specific folder, it will do that when you're running your rule. Whatever rule you set up, it will run. Once it's done running your rules, you can just close out your Run Rules Now, and your rules and alerts, I can say cancel there. Let's review. Rules help us organize incoming emails. It also allows us to manage disposing of unwanted solicitation. So that would be a rule like in the subject line or from a specific organization that you can go directly into the trash can. Rules also help us stay up to date with information coming into our inbox. So let's say it's from our boss, or if we need to assign it a category to specifically catch our attention, we can do that with rules.